Well, I suppose the ultimate wildcard would be if they fail to submit their budget at all by the end of today, which of course is a deadline that all other European countries will be meeting. There was quite a significant delay in terms of the passing, essentially, of their gross three-year economic forecasts. Quite a significant document. They failed to meet the requirements of Italian law earlier, just a few weeks ago, in submitting those to various committees in the parliament. So that is the ultimate wildcard. However, that's not something we have any indication of that happening at this stage. We've heard from Luigi Di Maio a few days ago that they would be submitting their budget today. The timeline gets quite complex over the next few weeks, Karen, but essentially what we're looking at is the European Commission having about a week, once this budget is submitted, to make an informal response. They might say these are some of the issues we have with this, and we've heard repeatedly from people like Dombrovskis and others that there are concerns about the deficit spending target in particular. Also, then a week after that, they'd have to submit a much more formal response in writing. If they really have an issue with what the Italians are planning to do, then they would have essentially till the end of the month to make those concerns known. The Italians would then have some time to come back with some counter proposals another 3 weeks after that. At that point, we then have another 3-week period for the European Commission to come back. So we're getting suddenly into mid-December territory at that point. The Italians, again, under Italian law, should be passing this budget by midnight on December the 31st. We've seen historically that hasn't always been so easy for them to achieve. And in fact, you just have to go back a couple of years to when Matteo Renzi was Prime Minister here. They had a spat with Brussels at the time. It went on until May. The budget for 2016 not passed till mid-May 2016. So a lot of uncertainty for markets ahead of us, one would imagine, going into this. It does seem like there are going to be some challenges for the Italians when it comes to their dealings with Brussels, though.
It looks like it's going to be a busy couple of months for you, Willem, as well, if indeed the talks do drag on. I want to ask you about rating agencies, because we know that we're getting into some deadlines for S&P and Moody's to reassess their standing of Italian debt. Now, the investor community is largely anticipating some form of a downgrade or at least negative outlook to come. What has been the word on the ground from politicians and policymakers as they push forward with this budget? And as you say, Di Maio seems very confident that the budget will get through today. What does that mean for sovereign debt, and how are the politicians likely to react?
Well, the way they have reacted so far to any discussion of ratings agency downgrades is to say, essentially, we A, don't think it's going to happen, and B, we don't care if it does happen. And that's all of a piece, essentially, with the quite confident, bullish tone you get from people like Matteo Salvini, the Deputy Prime Minister, and Luigi Di Maio, his counterpart from the Five Star Movement. These two men and others in their orbit saying that essentially the Italians will push through these plans. They have these projects that they promised the Italian people during the election earlier this year, and they really don't care hugely about the issues like ratings agencies, like the cost of borrowing, something that obviously Mr. Tria, Giovanni Tria, the economy minister here, is a lot more concerned about.
It seems market noise is pressing for the government, because if you consider Di Maio's comments on the weekend ruling out talk of an exit from the Eurozone, so quite clear on that, calling it scaremongering. So does it feel like Rome is trying to, I guess, caress the market back to a more comfortable position?
Well, there will certainly be people here in senior positions who are concerned about the way the market's reacting, because, of course, they know, and they've made this clear, that it is going to cost them more in the long run to service their debt. There are many others, though, who see that they have a democratic mandate. They don't want to hear either the market or the European Commission trying to push them around in terms of policy decisions, and that's something they've made very clear as their position. They don't feel that they should be pushed around by these external factors. Mr. Salvini has said he looks at the spread each day, he is concerned about it, but it's not necessarily something that's going to change his mind.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.